Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on the second Maiden's tragedy, and we get to hear from Anselmus' wife again today in Act 4, Scene 1. This is like her big scene. She started out chatting with Votarius, and she was angry with him because he had insinuated to Anselmus that maybe she could be tempted to be not faithful. And she's like, if he suspects me, then we can't actually be together. It's going to be a lot harder for us to have our little rendezvous. So she came up with a plan that Votarius should storm into her bedchamber while Anselmus is hiding in a closet so she can turn him down, and she will even threaten him with a sword, and this should convince Anselmus that there's nothing going on between the two of them, that she is completely faithful, so then they can go and be not faithful as much as their little hearts desire. And Votarius is like, okay, cool, great. But then he leaves and Leonella comes in, and Anselmus' wife and Leonella were sort of butting heads a little bit. Leonella doesn't really have a whole lot of respect for this lady who is her mistress, who she's supposed to be serving, because remember also Leonella's boyfriend Belarius is Votarius' enemy. So Leonella and Belarius have been working sort of to try to set up Votarius for a very significant fall. So Leonella comes in and the two of them are sort of at each other. But then in yesterday's monologue, we had the wife being like, okay, I have to be friends. I'm not mad at you. And Leonella's like, obviously you're mad at me. And she's like, no, I promise. Here's a jewel. We're good friends again now, and I need a favor. And Leonella's like, oh, okay, what? And wife says, see now, I chid thee. When I least thought upon thee, thou art my best hand. I cannot be without thee. Thus then, sirrah, to beat away suspicion from the thoughts of ruder listening servants about the house, I have advised Votarius, at fit time, boldly to force his way into my chamber, the admittance being denied him, and the passage kept strict by thee, my necessary woman. There I should have missed thy help again. At which attempt, I'll take occasion to dissemble such an anger that the world shall ever after swear us to their thoughts as clear and free from any fleshly knowledge, as nearest kindred are, or ought to be, or what can more express it, if that failed. So she's recruiting Leonella to help her in this plan, and realizing that she actually needs more help from Leonella than she originally thought. She's like, no, I trust you. You are my handmaiden. I rely on you. I can't get by without you. So what I've done is I've told Votarius to come into my chamber, and you're supposed to block the way. And she's like, oh, I completely forgot that I was supposed to ask you that you're supposed to block the way. And then I'm gonna try to put him off in such a way that nobody will think that there's anything going on between us. And Leonella's like, okay. Anselmus' wife continues describing the plot and asks Leonella to go find Votarius and tell him to wear armor. And Leonella's like, okay. And she's like, well, that's so that I can threaten him. And then she's like, oh, here's another thing that I needed from you. I need you to hide a weapon somewhere. Hide like a sword. Maybe put it over there-ish so that I can grab it and threaten him with it. And that's why he's going to need the armor. So in case I get a little voracious with my threatening, he'll be okay. And Leonella's like, okay, I see what you're getting at. And then Selma's wife is like, great, okay, cool. And she leaves, and Belarius pops out because he's just sort of hanging around anywhere and everywhere in the castle. And Leonella gives him a little bit of a hard time. She's like, yeah, me and my lady were just sort of fighting about you, and you're just sort of everywhere, blah, 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 blah. And Leonella divulges the plan to Belarius, and Belarius is like, oh my God, this is perfect. You remember that Votarius is my enemy, right? And she's like, yeah, obviously. I think her actual line is, this is stale news. And Belarius is like, okay, you are going to forget to tell him to wear armor. And what's more, the sword that you place, we're going to put poison on it so that if he even gets a little bit nicked by it, then he's dead. He's out of the picture. Sort of like the poison sword in Hamlet. But anyway, Leonella is completely on board with that plan. She's like, just give me a kiss and I'm yours and we'll make this thing happen. And that's the end of Act 4, Scene 1. So we have what should be a sweet little rom-com plot with, hide the guy behind the curtain and here we're going to threaten and everything should be hunky-dory. But there's now the added complications of a message is not going to be delivered. So Votarius will not be forewarned to wear armor, and the sword that he is going to be threatened with is going to be poisoned, unbeknownst to either he or Anselmus' wife. So it is a tragedy. It's not a rom-com. It's a tragedy. But anyway, we got a ways to go before we get to the very end. I'll see you tomorrow for more. Mwah.